as everyone is joining, and I must tell all our friends here that we are having this very brief conversation with Dr. Shekhar Algundgi today. He has recently come out with a new book on case taking, the art of what it is called, the connection, communication, and conversation. And he's also going to be a master teacher in one of our upcoming courses on case taking. And this conversation is going to be about what he is going to teach during that course, and what are the areas where students find it difficult. Students, not just students, even the practitioners find it difficult to open up a case, to go to the root of a case, and what is his personal approach, what is his P&W formula to open up all the difficult cases that he sees. So let's begin, Dr. Shekhar.
Yes.
So my first question to you is, you have been teaching so many students through your Gurukul, and you've been training since decades. Where do you find students and even young practitioners get stuck while taking a case, that they are not able to reach the similem? What are the difficult areas? What are the loopholes? What are the pitfalls which students encounter and fall into while taking a case?
So the most important aspect is the art of conversation. And where people get actually stuck is when they are not able to listen to the entire context of the matter that has been spoken by the person. They take some words or they get something attracted in that particular line or phrase, and they forget the entire totality of the entire statement that is being passed by the person. And therefore, what happens is when you're not listening to the entire context, then there is a likely chance of getting stuck. Another important aspect is the premeditative thoughts that it could be like this. It's my own assumption that I think so, he must have said this. I think so, he must have said that. And when we are assuming before the person can even tell, or before the person has told and it doesn't mean that, then again we are going to have a completely different route from where we are supposed to go and where we land up to. Third important thing is the idea of getting distracted. Now with the Gazette world and everything, people tend to get distracted during the taking of the case. The WhatsApp messages, this, that, whatever it could be. So the focus is lost. So these are some of the important basic parameters where people are tending to make mistake. Another thing is, we expect some sort of an answer to be given by the person. And when we expect some answer to be given by the person, the answer should have a proper question also. And if the question is not appropriate to what is not syncing to the person's subject of conversation, then again there is a huge blunder that one can do. Therefore, I would always, what I would like to now teach in this particular master's course is this: try and understand the subject of conversation. Try and understand the context of that subject of conversation. Because when you understand the context in which that subject is mentioned, then you are understanding the entire topic or entire talk in its totality. And thus, the asking of question that I say emerges from what the person is answering. Because it simply follows this: question, answer, question, answer. So if the person, initially beginning, people are all clear about it. Tell me your problems. What problems are you suffering? And when the person starts narrating, that is the time when our mind starts working because we are so keenly listening where, what word, what fascinates me. That is the most important aspect of problem for any practitioner for that matter. Why can't we be simply coolly listening to the entire conversation, observing the whole aspect of the conversation, and allowing the person to finish what they have to say, and then take a small bit of pause to understand what has been told and in what context it has been told, and then frame your questions accordingly before asking. So where people get stuck is they just throw the question like anything. And by the time they throw multiple questions, they don't even realize that they have already lost it. And then to revive back again. So tell me about your nature. These are the type of questions come up. So tell me about you. Now, how does it sound when a person has already been half an hour in your conversation? Till then, what were you doing then? So these are some of the initial beginnings that one needs to rectify their way of or the skills of the art of conversation.
Now, it's very important to have that skill of listening to the patient carefully. A very interesting question that comes to my mind is how do you uh, how do you take into account the individuality of the physician who is taking the case? Let me give you an example. The physician is not a healthy person for most people. You know, the physician, the homeopath himself is going through a lot of challenges. We all have our own personalities. We all have our own issues and life challenges, and we all have our own code. So a Naxwamika, a physician who is a Naxwamika is in a Naxwamika state. And there is another one who is in a calcarea carb state, and another one who is in a phosphorus state, another one who is in staphysagria state. How do you expect all these four different people to take this case in the same way? What is the key to having an approach where the doctor becomes immaterial?
So for point number one, as a homeopath, there should always be a day off called as self-assessment. And that should be maybe around 45 days or 2 months time. And that self-assessment is about what? Pick up random samples of the cases that one has taken and just listen to it casually as though you're listening to a music. Try to figure out what is the thing that is coming up common as a part of mistake or as a part of something went wrong here in this case A, something went wrong here in this case B, something went wrong here in this case C, and then see what is it giving. Just meditate over it and see what is it showing. It is like simply saying introspecting your own self as far as your practice is concerned. So for a Naxomika, if you can see this haughtiness, or if you can see the anger when the patient is not telling, then there one has to introspect and say, boss, I have a problem with this. This is where I have been seen in my 3, 4, 5, 6 cases as sample what I've taken. And here is where am I having an issue. Now, if I really want to improve my own self, I need to throw light on what was the person telling and where I got angry. What happened to it? By rectifying or first becoming aware of your own inner self, only then you can make some changes as far as your practice is concerned. Another important thing is your body language. In certain cases that comes up common. For example, if you are very outgoing person, you are very lively person, like the phosphorus. And here is a person who is completely introvert. Here is a person who is not able to even give you the common answers to you. And then you start feeling, what is life for you, yeah? Why are you living? That itself should be making you aware and alert that it is his or her state. And what are you trying to do, boss? You're trying to put your state into that person. That is the moment when you need to mark it that this is what is happening. I need to rectify this. So, important aspect is the self-assessment aspect of the entire story and seeing it if it is repeatedly happening because of I being phosphorus or because of I being Naksu, because of I being sulfur. I would explain people too many times. In too many cases, I will say I'm explaining it to them. I'm talking, having philosophical talks with them. Will not work. It is your state that is imprinting on the state of the person who has come in front of you. So somewhere down the line, you need to rectify those things that are coming up prominently again and again in multiple cases. So I always feel that as a homeopath, since we deal with such a lot of psychological aspect, since we deal with such a lot of people's problems aspect, every day there is a story of a person. Some are turmoil, some are grief ones, and all these things. A certain period of time should be kept when you have to have that revival time. That is definitely going to help us in the long run.
Very true, very true. It's important that we as homeopaths learn to reflect on our own self, on our own shortcomings, on our own failures, and spend more time reviewing our failed cases.
True.
So that we know not just where the cases are failing, but where we are failing as individuals.
Correct. And as humans, we are bound to do those mistakes, knowingly or unknowingly.
Yes, yes, absolutely. True, true.
So when we have revival time, that is the time when no appointments are there, no engagements are there. You have kept that day to just see what are you doing, where is the problem, is there a problem or not, tracing it.
True. One more question that I would like to ask you in this Insta Live session is, you use a PNW formula that you have mentioned in the book also, the way you use the grammar in a case. What is this approach that you use to follow the patient's journey in the right direction? And what is it that you are going to teach about this in the upcoming course?
So in the last decade or so, lot of people have been sending, especially the students have been sending cases after cases. And I sincerely take a lot of time to read all those cases. Initially, the cases used to be sent without even writing the question. They would only just give the story of the patient. And that patient story wouldn't have head or tail to it. Wouldn't have any, you cannot have any picture out of it. So then I thought, what is wrong in this? What am I reading? Then a trace of this thing came in that, array, people are not writing the questions what they have asked to what the patient has answered. So I made it a point to tell all those people who are sending cases to please write your questions, what you have asked, then the patients answer what they are sending. So that started. Then I started seeing that the questions do not have any sort of connection to what the person is trying to tell. So what does this mean? It means that you have not at all established connection with you and the person. And therefore, when the connection is not established, whatever you are asking and what the patient is telling and what the patient is telling and what you are asking are not in a linear sequence to give some sort of an understanding. And so therefore, the idea came was, what is the purpose of this question that has been asked by this physician? So thus I came with this idea, understanding that is the intent clear, first of all, that I have to understand this person. If the intent is clear, then my question should have a purpose behind. Why am I asking? What am I asking? Where am I asking? To whom am I asking? All these things will then automatically follow. And with that, the question will carry weightage because you have now known that you have asked a question which has got a purpose behind it. So purposeful question will always have a meaningful answer. This is universal truth. When the question is purposeful, the answer is meaningful. And when the purpose is proper and the answer comes meaningful, humanly, we tend to have a lot of issues in our life, lot of problems that overshadow each other. So they come with one, two, three, four, five, six problems. Now, what are these problems? These are all the different possibilities. That this is possibly the problem, or this is possibly the problem, or the third one is the possibly a problem, which is bothering, which is troubling, which is causing some sort of disturbance to this patient or this person of mine. So when the possibilities come up, you do not know which one it is. Again, with a purposeful question, when you go further down the line, you trace what is important for you, which is bothering you the most. Comes the idea of this probability. When you further percolate it down, which one is the one that disturbs you the most out of that probability, which is one or two, then you get to the mark called as prospect, which is a single path of disturbance for that person, which holds in that moment of time utmost importance. And then on, when you start probing, you get into the details of everything that is there as far as where is the issue, how long is the issue, what is the depth of the issue, what is the pace of the issue, what is the direction of the issue, what brings in the issue, that is what aggravates, what ameliorates the issue. All this that we get is the location, sensation, modality, and concomitant and short. So likewise, this P formula, which are 8 of them, will take you from the purposeful question to the peculiarity of that particular individual, which has to be where the remedy lies. So this is just a GPS where you are getting some idea how to go about. Because people would ask me how to take the proper case. Where do we know what is right and wrong? What do we know whether we have completed the case? So once these P's are understood, we get an idea about, yes, there is some sort of understanding in this what is happening. And this is not only in case taking. It is even as a human being, when we are trying to connect with other human being, this is very useful. You see frictions happening between two people. Just an example. The friction happens is only because the content of topic, both of them are on different page. Each one is stuck with their own ideas. And the content remains aside the friction between ideas. And the end result is not a conversation, but a commotion. So in order to avoid the commotion, the idea, what I felt was to connect to the person on a given subject, converse on that given subject, and have a dialogue. That is where the entire conversation and the communication comes into picture. So the smooth flow of understanding other person is this graph of peace that will help us to understand how to really get in touch with the person on a right note, on his or her problems, on being on his or her page of problems.
This sounds so interesting. I've already gone through your book and I know it's so very useful for the students and the physicians. So I personally am looking forward to your sessions, and I believe that everyone who has joined the course already, they are going to be immensely benefited with your insights.
Sure.
And your knowledge.
Because, Manish Bhai, because the reason is that this is not simply about only homeopathy. It is not about any topic of text. It is the art of how am I as a social animal, being a mammal. Other mammals communicate through sounds. We communicate through linguistic art. And what is very important is, have I understood what they're telling? Did it make sense? And then the grammatical understanding, which brings in a huge difference in the way we listen to what the person is telling. Where the person is stressing, where the person is putting pause, the pitch, the volume, the pace, the rhythm, the body language, the facial expression, all this slowly, gradually syncs with us. And then we really get the flavor of it in a way. What beautifully the way they expressed on that word, which nobody could hear it. But once you tune yourself through your special senses in getting that finer aspect, the joy of conversation is beautiful.
Absolutely. And we will all enjoy these sessions with you. And to those who have been listening to us through this Insta Live, I invite all of you to join this upcoming course on mastering the art of case taking to solve all your difficult cases, all your stuck cases, and to take your practice to the next level. And there are going to be 6 different teachers teaching you a lot of homeopathy, good cases, 6 different approaches, all trying to solve difficult cases and taking your homeopathic practice to the next level. The course is available at Master Homeopathy Academy. The URL is academy.drbhatia.com. And I invite you and I look forward to seeing you all there. With these words, I thank you, Dr. Shekhar Algundgi, so much for your time and for your friendship. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.